Thanks again to all our vendor sponsors in the back. We really appreciate you guys. And thank you guys for coming. I know you got lots going on and, you know, we definitely appreciate you coming. But this is all for you. Don't forget, we're doing this for you guys. This is all about the ET community, so we really appreciate you guys coming. You know, bring your other faculty and friends next time. We love to meet new people, and certainly anybody you have new at your organization that you want to get in the ET community, we'd love to have them here. Okay. So myself, Danielle, and Teresa are going to do a short presentation about Manufacturing Month. How many of you have any Manufacturing Month events already planned? So October is Manufacturing Month. All right, Sam, Jason, okay, a few of you. So the ones that don't have Manufacturing Month events planned, why is that? Yeah. All right, I know. Well, I got one excuse you probably are thinking you're busy, right? That's true, right? It's a little bit of work, right? Well, listen, the good news is we're here to help you. We're going to tell you about, you know, some good information about how to create one and how we can help. So, if needing help is one of your excuses, we're going to solve that today. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so we went over the FLAKE team a few times. We got myself, Dr. Barger, who isn't here for this is her.
She is here from the Netherlands.
Oh, wow, Maryland, she is here. All right, good. I just saw that. Thanks for joining us from the Netherlands, Maryland. What time is it there? And of course, Danielle and Teresa. So that is the FLAKE team. And you know, we cover the whole state. We do, I think a lot of you see some of the work we do, but we cover the whole state and try to lift up manufacturing for the whole state of Florida, manufacturing education for the whole state of Florida. So what FLAKE's vision is to drive Florida's world-class manufacturing workforce education and training. So we're gonna, you know, some of the ways, you know, I think you've seen some of the ways we help education, but some of the ways we help industry is we provide, you know, we help the companies understand what's close by, what programs are available, all the great work you guys are doing. We also help companies connect with you all directly. We connect colleges and state universities and faculty with subject matter experts. So we're going to, you know, that's what the yesterday and today is about. And we provide resources to help for Manufacturing Month, which we're going to talk about now. This me? Okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Teresa.
What if I said that was you?
Yeah, I would have kept on.
So, for those of you that don't do Manufacturing Month events, and if it's possible, it's because you don't really know how it works, I would say that's generally the case across the country. When you go on social media and you look up things on Manufacturing Day, which is the first Friday in October and has been celebrated nationally since 2012, most of the things that are posted are related to things that are happening inside the manufacturing plants. They're posting things about their employees. They're just saying Happy National Manufacturing Day. But Manufacturing Day was created specifically to get students and parents and community members out to manufacturing facilities so that they can see that they're high-tech, great careers, that they're not dirty old factories that they have in their heads when they think about manufacturing. So Manufacturing Day events, Manufacturing Month, we celebrate it as in Florida, are intended to actually show what's happening in our factories and tell people what these high-tech careers look like and what the salaries are, and that they can join them frequently right out of high school. They can go to these great 2-year programs that we have here, and we show them the pathways with a lot of the materials that we have that Danielle will go over in a second. So the intention of it is to inspire the future workforce to want to work in this field. So we can't do that just by saying Happy National Manufacturing Day and celebrating it with our employees inside the industries. We have to try to connect our industries with our students and with our parents and with our community members. And a lot of you guys do that already, but if you're not helping us with that, you can be ambassadors. We've been talking to industry about that more, to have everybody post something throughout October or something on National Manufacturing Day that is actually a connection with somebody other than somebody that you're already working with. So there's lots of different ways of doing manufacturing day events, and we'll talk about some of those in a second. But one of the things we share with industry, we want to share with you too, is they've been doing surveys of students and community members and parents that have been celebrating manufacturing day events for the last decade. And it has been proven to show that it makes that people more aware of manufacturing jobs, that they understand that it's a clean, high-tech environment after they go. It makes them want to tell other people about these career paths. So it's really important to get students out to see facilities, but we've learned since 2020 that there's lots of other types of manufacturing month events that you can hold that are maybe not equally effective, but definitely effective. So if you aren't in a situation where you have a group of students that you can take out to a manufacturer, a lot of our two-year college programs will have students to your labs to show them your labs. If it can't be done in person, we now have a lot of people do live virtual events. You set something up, you're not doing a recorded tour of your lab, but you're live showing that group of students at a high school what your lab looks like. And you're online to do a live Q&A with them. And students from high schools do that, students from middle schools do that. If you can't get live out to the facility, you can also do it virtually live. A lot of our schools, I know we have St. Pete College, some of the others that raised your hands, do events where you have a manufacturing or combination with some of your other programs that are in that STEM area. A day in October typically, to have students and community members out to the school to see the labs and see the programs as part of manufacturing month. So the flip side of that, and Daniele will talk about this again too, is we know about some of them. So if I haven't mentioned your program, it may not be because we don't know about it, but it might be because you haven't told us you're doing that program. And one of the most important ways that we can share impact is if we know and we can help share that back out. We want people in the community to know that there's a manufacturing month. So if you share something out on your social media and you make sure to use the hashtags that we'll share out that are up here, or you tag me directly, we can reshare it. We can amplify the message bigger so that when somebody comes in October on social media, they can't miss that it's manufacturing month, because there's information out there showing pictures of students seeing labs, showing pictures of students seeing facilities, or even showing online information. So you guys can help us amplify that message. Also, school-wide manufacturing events, they might be at a high school. There might be district-wide expos and career fairs. Anything really counts if you're getting out the message that there's great careers in manufacturing. And I think I hit all of that. The middle part you guys know about is that we have a statewide network of partners, includes all of you, includes our Florida Makes partners, and Florida Makes is going to speak a little bit later, as well as other Career Source and other organizations. So if you need to connect with someone in your area to help make these tours happen, or just to put something together at your campus and you need something from us, we're happy to help with any of that. And you guys help us with all of that as well, as we know. And now I'll turn it over to Danielle.
Thank you, Teresa. And thank you everyone for being here. We're very excited to have you from all over Florida. And we thought that because it's far from many of us, the attendance is going to be low, but we are surprisingly happy to see all of you here. And great for our host, Northwest Florida State College, and Sharon and Michael, to do this great effort. Round of applause for them, please. Once again, I'm not tired to do that, and looking forward for the future ET forums, and see you over there. So I'm here to remind you about the resources that we have as of late. And for those new participants that didn't know what we do, we are the connecting part between education and industry. So we are here to help, like Ernie and Teresa mentioned, and this is one of our most proud landing pages that we have to offer resources. Is made in Florida, and we have a specific site for manufacturing month, which we already know that it can be any month of the year. So if we scroll down, So you will read why is important manufacturing month and the webinar that we just had on August 26th, and we actually have another 2 other webinars that are available on demand if you would like to see them. This meeting is also recorded just in case, but this particular part is for educators. We have very limited industry or none here today, so we are educators, but we can be also host. So this depends of how we want to see that. We work as a team, and the point and the goal is to inspire students to be the next generation. So the first part that we have, who you can reach, very important. If you decide to host a tour or to do a tour with your students, who you can reach, who you can partner with. So the first one that we have are the regional manufacturer associations. We are part of NIST, we're part of Florida Makes Network. So if you don't know who is the RMA in your area, go to this first link. Do you think if we click there, we can see it, Teresa? There you go. So it's a Florida Makes a website and it's by region. So you just pick where you are and identify which can be your contact. And if you don't know, you can always contact us. But always please let us know what your plans are. And I know in our busy schedules we can forget. But the only way that we can help you is learning about what you are doing and how can we provide resources for you. We have the map that we would like to put you in a spot because we're Florida and we want to show the rest of the state, the country, what we are doing. Okay, if we continue scrolling down, we have the fill out this form or email us. Again, let us know what you are doing so we can put ourselves in your event in the map. We have resources for educators, for hosts. So depends where you wanna be. You wanna be one of those educators who wanna see and visit a site, you can click one of those links. Or if you wanna be a host, showing your lab, and it would be a great also idea to visit our site. So if you wanna click in the host, let's see, I wanna show you how it looks. So you scroll down and again, you will find the options for educators or host. We have quite a few resources for you to use. We have a best practice guides that I wanna point out, which is the industry tours. We do believe that any event will inspire students, but this best practice guide is a really small, straight to the point booklet with all the best practice that Marilyn, our flight team, put it together. It's based on many years of experience and it includes what is important. You know, do not forget about permits, who you contact, how you plan, budget, buses, everything you need to know is there. And we have a checklist. Did we pass it already? I think page number 7. Tips, option for virtual tours, maximizing the impacts. It's all here. Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. We can go back to our resources page. Exactly. So again, for educators, if you are planning to be an educator that you're going to visit with your students, then there is the resources and there are lessons to help prepare the students. Now, we are college, so they are already in that path. You already make them succeed selecting that path. And so I will say it will be perhaps more helpful if you host a tour, you compare in the morning perhaps, select an industry tour and a manufacturing company so they can really see how things are done. And perhaps you can open the labs and show you how they can learn to do all those things and the skills in your lab. And so they can get excited about the playground where we're going to be learning all those skills.
We went into we were looking to go into that educator toolkit just to see what's in there.
Okay.
Just tell Manufacturing Institute has resources.
Yes, we always plan to go down just give me a sec, so we still, be patient, Sam, be patient. So we keep going down with more resources. We have another best practice guide, Adopt a School. So the Adopt a School guide is also a product made with Florida Mix and team with Slate. So the Adopt a School guide, the difference is that includes all the outreach activities. So the first best practice guide is just industry tours. This one includes everything, expos, open labs. How can industry partner with your school, your college, to help recruit students, mentorships, capstone projects, anything you can think is included here, and also includes a list with tips how you can involve your industry partner. Very important. Thank you, Teresa. We keep scrolling down, and we have the Manufacturing Institute and also NIST as resources. We don't have it all. We partner with people that have it all, and the more, the better. And we keep scrolling down. We have marketing tools, beautiful images and promotion that Teresa has put it together. She's an artist. We all can use this. Manufacturing student month presentations. They're already done for you. You don't need to do anything. You just put your logo or your college. That's it is done. And it's already adapted for middle school or high school in simple terms so they can understand the manufacturing process, why it's fun, and all the opportunities that they have for career paths for them to follow. And last but not least, this is very, very important, the impact that we do, the surveys. The only way that we can measure and improve is doing the surveys. So we have already designed the survey for this year, and we recommend this is for educators, for the industry host. And again, if you're planning to be the host, then also take this, and the students. So we can learn how impactful and the benefits that the tour that we offer, the impact that they did on the students, and also how we improve for next year, what we did, that we can do better. And so just let us know. The links are there, free to use. Just put your logo if you want, or let us know to handle that, and in any way you want. And now we can go back to Sam's tools. He wants to see the tools.
That Lincoln Manufacturing Institute is broken.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
It's broken.
Yeah.
We promise to fix it. Okay, so this is the summary of what we need to know about planning manufacturing month. Obtain necessary approvals, set a budget, funding options, very important. Connect with your local partners, and identify key personnel roles, set expectations, why you want. And again, depends what role you're playing. Are you hosting, or you are the educator taking the kids to an industry route? And enhance your student experience. And this is extremely important, because if you're the host, again, you need to think, but you're educators, you should know that you need to be extremely, let's say, hands-on and talk in a way they can understand. The attention span is very short. You only know that, I guess. So make, if you do a lab stations, make it in a game. They will really love that. And you can invite a manufacturer also to show a display of what they do, and provide lunch, provide goodies, show parts of how what they learn every day can be applied on that. That's it. And then we can go next. How long is it? Do we have 10 minutes at least?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like now to open the floor for all of you that have provided experience being a host or visiting tours. So anyone would like to start? Otherwise, I will pick someone. Anyone that said that they have opened the doors for.
Oh, sorry.
Sam's gonna
Who,
go.
who? It's okay, I know who.
Okay.
So HC.
Mine's off. Close to the mic.
So Flade, used to, am I in another speaker? Surely come here.
Go up front, gotta move back up front.
It's because of the
Yeah.
speakers hanging from the ceiling?
Yeah.
Of late, when I used to be have funds from NSF, we have for many years our offices at the Hillsborough Community College. And Chile was our partner in crime, and we opened the doors to students to visit. And it's a way for you to recruit students into your career, many career paths. So she's gonna talk about how she did and who you contact and what it make difference to make so much fun for the students.
How I did it is I let Danielle Marilyn do it. No, we worked with Bama. We had to contact them or they would send us an email. We have a good relationship with our Bama area there. So we're probably in communication frequently. So we would be in communication with them and we would sign up and say that we were available. They would tell us what days we were available. We would connect the days. They would let us know which schools were in the area that were going to maybe a manufacturer because it didn't fit their schedule. And then we opened a lab. We set up some hands-on experiments like anything with our robots or PLCs. We set something up and try to break them up. You usually get a good crowd, so we'd have to kind of put them in little groups. And so there's 2 or 3 of us in the lab, and we would take each group to the different stations and let them participate. And it was really eye-opening, I think, for the counselors and teachers that came with them. They really enjoyed it. The students were, of course, in awe of some of the things they had never seen before. So it was quite an excellent experience, quite a outreach for our school as well, because there are local schools around us that don't really know what we do. We do have an enrollment development coordinator. When Danielle and they were there, they were our coordinator. They helped us with a lot, but with they're gone now, we had to pick it up and work with our enrollment development coordinator and Bama. So it's been a wonderful experience. It's really something that we all should be doing.
Thank you, Shirley. Anyone would like to share?
So we're very new to Advanced Manufacturing Month, and Jolie and Ernie and everybody's been working with us, and so we haven't 100% released what we're doing yet. So I guess this is like the premiere release right now. But Jim is actually going next week to do some virtual tours with Fort Walton Machining and Meritech, and we're going to try to use our instructional designers to make more of a choose your own adventure type tour where the kids get, you want to see a CNC machine, and then it clicks and it goes there versus just a typical kind of talking tour. Many of our teachers that have shown interest are actually at the elementary level. And so we want it to be a little bit more engaging for kids to choose and pick to where they want to go. And then we're going to have an activity that they can do based off of each of the different videos at the 2 locations. And I know that there's Hallie Navarre is doing a STEAM night on the 21st. And so we'll have Jolie and a couple of people there on a panel for that. And then Jim and I are presenting about AI at the Florida Association of Science Teachers Conference in Orlando. So we'll be making a little plug about Advanced Manufacturing Month and different things like that as well.
Thank you, Carrie. I will be reaching out to you too. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? I'm going to select someone that raised their hand. Yes.
Our event is called the World of Works. It's basically a bunch of industries in town that come and present on our campus. I guess Lively's campus was part of TSC's campus. I don't know how many vendors there are, probably maybe 200 or so different groups. Come out from linesmen to, all the different trades that are out there, as well as TSC opportunities. It's a really great event. We bring a lot of high schools that are on the area into the kind of campus for that day. I think it's mainly juniors and seniors that are interested in those opportunities.
Is that gonna be at the Civic Center again?
It's gonna be on Lively's campus.
It's gonna be on live, we used to do that at the Civic Center.
Yep.
You don't need to probably know that it's all kind of like,
I do all that and then some in my area, because we have very close relationship with our industry. We don't pick up manufacturing month as October. Every month we're going into a new factory. The Manufacturing Association has tours every month, and they bring the high schools, the colleges, anybody who wants to come can come in, and the host company realizes there's other manufacturers coming to see as well as students and everything else. So we may have one company here and then another company's coming in, and they're bringing my students that are in my program with them that are working there, because all mine are working. It's hard to grab more than 3 or 4 students to go out there. I do not host anything on my campus during manufacturing month because it's designed to do manufacturing. Any other month, they're flowing in and out. Sally and I, we host 7 or 8 groups coming through between elementary, middle school, high school. We're constantly having them in all the time. Our pathways people are bringing them in every month. Somebody's coming in. So we're constantly hosting. So we don't do that during manufacturing month just because we want them in manufacturing. We don't want them in our location. They come to us all the time. So I think for us, it's a little different the way we're set up, but our manufacturing association controls that. We go through them. They're the ones who make all the requests and everything. And that's kind of how we do it in our area. So if you're not involved with your manufacturing association, is Ron still on the board over there? Yeah, so Ron's on the board of his, I'm on the board of mine as the education liaison. Those of you program managers need to be on the board of your manufacturing association as an education liaison. If you do that, you'll be in tune with everything going on, and you'll be able to benefit from these little things like this for manufacturing month and other things going on. So make sure you get heavily involved. If you're in engineering technology, you're involved in manufacturing, believe it or not, so you need to be involved as much as you can.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Sam.
You have a question? Somebody has a question? Anything?
Okay, so maybe the question is, we still have coffee there? It will be no problem. Anyways, thank you, everyone, and if you haven't started to do your plans, please reach out to us. You don't know how, but let's get ready and be active. This is a teamwork. You're not alone. We're here to help.
So IISE put together a template and sent it to everybody to advertise IISE Day. I think it'd be interesting if Flake could put together some kind of a template that people could easily use for their LinkedIn postings that would look perhaps uniform even across all the colleges, that everyone has the same kind of a template advertising their manufacturing day. I mean, it might be worth making as well. I'll send you what IIC did,
Yeah,
so you can take a look at it.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's time for our next.
Could I add one thing in? This is Tina online. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, just a second, Tina. This is Teresa. Just one thing. I fixed the link from Manufacturing Institute, and Manufacturing Institute has a full set of social media templates for Manufacturing Day. It's all on there. Okay, go ahead, Tina.
I wanted to add too, if anybody is struggling with thinking about what to put together for Manufacturing Month, we are happy to open up the game and show you how your team could use it as you're talking about manufacturing with a school, and then you could use the game as an activity in that experience that you're creating. So feel free to reach out and we can help you have a really engaging experience during that month as well.
Hey, thanks, Tina. Send that to us and then we'll get that. Everybody.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, I guess next up is Inspire. We're gonna have them do some talking. Meantime, I got an announcement while they're moseying on up. Make sure you've signed in. That's a big one. I'm gonna say it 10 more times because we still got people who didn't sign in, so just make sure you signed in.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Reynolds. This is Carrie Myers. We are both leading the workforce development side of the Inspire project. Some of you might have heard of what we do, some of you might not have, so please ask questions as we go through all these things. Right now it's currently a Northwest Florida project right here in the Panhandle of Florida. It's basically a 10-year plus project that's going to be creating an institute that's going to be self-sustaining by the end of the 10 years. So we currently have grant funding through those 10 years. It's the Institute for Strategic Partnerships, Innovation, Research, and Education, and we're covering everything. So imagine soup to nuts dealing with education, workforce development, pipelining, apprenticeships, college degrees, certificate programs, industry partnerships, bringing in industry to the region to try to diversify the economy in the Northwest Florida region, and business mentoring. That's all in there also. So we're pretty much an umbrella that's going to try to encompass everything we possibly can to bring it all under one kind of roof. So Inspire itself is based out of the Northwest Florida region, but the reason we kind of like picked and looked at this specific region, we have a lot of really talented areas that we're trying to pull from, and two of those main talented areas are advanced manufacturing techniques and aerospace, and those are the two main focuses that we have currently right now. And that's what we're kind of like focused on, at least in the first few years of the project itself, because there's a lot of need for that, especially in this region specifically. So that's eventually what the Inspire project is going to look like. It's going to cover the whole Northwest Florida region. Right now, we currently have funding for the 8 counties that are on the water. We're expanding that possibly with new grant opportunities. We are partially funded by Triumph Gulf Coast. For those of you who don't know, that's settlement money from the BP oil spill. So we're partially funded by them. We're also partially funded by FSU. We're pretty much here to task to develop an infrastructure to support industry. And that starts at the kindergarten level and goes all the way up. And that's what we're focused on. And you'll see as we go through this that we do focus a lot on the elementary level because we need to catch those kids at those specific areas to then eventually get into your programs at the college and certificate levels. So that's why we're kind of starting early on this. One of the main kind of drives for what we're doing is applied research. So a lot of times people think universities are all about like theoretical research. That's not what Inspire is about. Inspire is about applied research. How do we apply that to an everyday activity? How do we apply that to a military situation? How do we apply that to an industry or corporate problem? Those are the kind of things that we're looking at right now. And then also, as I mentioned, we're trying to diversify the regional economic opportunities that are here in Northwest Florida. A lot of it is based on tourism. Those of you who've been to the beaches, they're beautiful beaches. And we're trying to bring more and more industry that diversifies this area. And Northwest State Florida College is a perfect example. All the manufacturing that they're doing, all the projects that they're doing is supporting this. And all the state colleges are actually part of this project. They're all under the umbrella. So they're all part of this larger kind of economic development situation. I kind of already mentioned this. A couple more things I want to mention is that we are also talking about end-to-end manufacturing. So from feedstock all the way to end product, that's what our focus is, trying to figure out how can we do that in an efficient and effective way for corporations. And we're going to work with them and research those techniques to try to make that possible. So we don't have those supply chain issues. Everybody remembers back to the pandemic, right? Everything was a supply chain problem. Well, we're trying to mitigate that, right, with our institute. That's one of the main things. How do we cut out that supply chain problem and make it just in a specific region that we can support every single area of that industry from end to end? Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna let me go back one more quick. We're also gonna be building and developing wind tunnel technologies here. So we'll have high-speed aero testing and wind tunnel technology so that we can work with industries, especially the aerospace industries and military contractors, to be able to work in those specific research areas for those corporations. So one thing that's really kind of, I think hits home to you guys is advanced manufacturing techniques. We are working with multiple partners throughout the entire region. One of those is Astro America is one of our main partners on the project itself. If you don't know, they're a large kind of nonprofit that's trying to support manufacturing across the United States, trying to advance the opportunities that people have in this country through advanced manufacturing techniques. And we have quite a few little connections already, and we're trying to create these nodes throughout the region so that we're all kind of like working toward the same eventual goal. So Astro America is one of our main partners. They're actually directly in Meritech. If you don't know, Meritech is a machining company out of the Bay County area. Jolie's in the back, kind of giving a heads up. Amazing advanced manufacturing techniques they're doing. They're doing powder bed laser 3D printing there. I mean, this and the tools that they have are just absolutely incredible for what the next level of machining could be for what we're doing.
And that will be in the videos that the kids can see.
That will be in the videos, right? So one of the huge things that we're trying to kind of bring out to the kids is to show them these are the tools and techniques that are happening. Somebody talked about how like we're getting away from that whole idea of advanced manufacturing being dark and dingy. Well, parents don't necessarily know that. Grandparents don't know that. But the kids need to be the ones that are getting to know that kind of stuff. All right. Oh, and I'm gonna pass it off to Carrie.
So one of the things that Jim and our team does is to think about how can we support an enhanced manufacturing and the educational technology and piece of this. And so trying to bring this back to maybe what you guys do. And while we're talking a lot about Northwest Florida, we do have a whole thing about lessons we've learned that you might be able to take back to your area as well. We do want to become a national model. That is our goal. That's our North Star, is to become a national model that we can go through and help in a variety of different areas, because this is the one time that you can get everything from the university. You can get from pipeline talent to research to helping industry. And so we would like to be able to take that around and really help, the United States become number one in everything that we're looking to do in a global competition. So the workforce development, everything that we do right now currently is about aerospace or advanced manufacturing. We are looking at energy, and FSU is expanding across Northwest Florida with healthcare, opening new hospitals and different things that's on our to-do list over the next 10 years as well. But everything we do is in collaboration with industry. And I will say that Jolie Martin has been amazing making connections for us with industry. Every course we create is with industry to make sure, even if it's at the kindergarten level, it aligns, that there's something that's going to happen at that point there. And every course, we always have an AI application piece to it as well. And we're really thinking about this as the pathways. I know we use the term pipelining, and I was like, oh, what's the difference between pipelining and pathways? And it's just a connotation that pipeline is more linear. You can't come in and out and go back and forth. And everybody we talked to, and I'm going to pick on Tyler this morning, he was like, I got a degree in this, and that's not what I'm doing right now. But we don't think about that. Everybody, and not just you, everybody I talk to, we've taken weird paths, right? But that's not necessarily something we talk to the kids about, is that you should be able to go in and out, back and forth, and continue to grow in your careers and in your design. So that's what we're doing as we set up these courses for our teachers from K to 20 as well, making sure that everything in here, and thinking about teachers being workforce multipliers. If you have lived in a K-12 world or you've worked in it, that is not a common thought process. That they are really there for getting a test, doing something and we're trying to change that mindset. And we ask the teachers to reflect, what are you here for? And some of them will say, oh, I'm a reading teacher, I'm this. I'm like, no, we're teachers that are supposed to be helping society, right? And so that's one of the things we talk about, is that they become workforce multipliers. They understand what the workforce demands are, but they don't have those opportunities. When Jolie came in and talked to them, when the economic development people came to talk, they were like, I've never heard this before. I didn't realize that. And so it's really important for our teachers to hear how they are a piece of creating the workforce for tomorrow. And you might think that, well, they're school, but they don't necessarily think in that way. So it's really important to change that mindset. So this past summer, we actually started in year 0. I love it when on a grant you get a year 0. I think is the greatest thing. Never do we ever get a year 0, but in a grant we had a year 0. So we started a small pilot, and I want to give a shout out to Michael Knowlton, who's here from Santa Rosa County. We call him, he sends teachers. So if you want to do great partnerships with somebody that's local, Santa Rosa County is amazing. You're going to see a lot of his teachers here. So we started that off in the summer 2024. This summer we expanded. All 8 partner counties were there. Many of them hosted us. Over 200 educators we hit just this summer. We were on the road for 4 weeks. We had different classes, engineering, engaging secondary students using AI-powered instruction. There was a course for elementary, introduction to robotics in the classroom, leveraging AI and engineering design pedagogy. That was an online course that we had offered. The other piece to this, though, is that we know through STEM education research that if you do not create a system, a support system, if teachers come to professional development for one day, they're going to forget it. You have to keep this continuing support system. So what we're doing is we're creating inspired schools and community events to make sure that this continues. Rising Leaders Academy out of Bay County is our first inspired school. We're working with other school districts as well to help when you have the administrator and teachers on board. That's when you make large gains and growth throughout the whole process here. Underneath, there's also advanced manufacturing. We had 8 returning teachers come help facilitate. Most of them were from Santa Rosa County. They are go-getters over there, and they're doing a really good job of being partners with us. So one of the things I wanted to point out on this slide is that we're trying to modernize teacher professional development in a couple of different ways. One of them is the teachers have to earn an industry certification when they come to our course. So that's something that you guys have dealt with. Different workforce has industry certifications. They come and they earn an industry certification. They have to show competency when they come and take the course. The courses are so far been 20 hours to 35 hours. So that's one of the things that's a little bit different there. The other thing is really we talk about the economic goals of the area, making sure that they understand why we're trying to make a change. If they're just being told again as teachers to do something different, try something different, well, we already know how that's gone over the years. And so we're really trying to make sure they understand and that there's buy-in to that program. We're in STEM, AI, we even incorporate literacy into it because a lot of in a K-12 classroom is about reading and writing. And so we want to make sure that that's not any different in this particular situation. And the other piece of this is throughout workforce development, I already mentioned this, we have economic developers come in, we have experts from the field come in, we have field trips that the teachers get to go see a variety of different locations. When they were in Tallahassee with us, they actually got to go see the wind tunnel, and they got to go over to High Performance Materials Institute. When we were in Okaloosa County, we went to Fort Walton Machining, and this will grow and grow as we work. There's a delay in the click. So here's one of the things I wanted to show you that we're really leveraging industry in everything we're doing in this course. So yes, there's teacher pedagogy in there, but there is industry 100% throughout the whole problem and process. Microsoft is one of our partners, Florida Make is one of our partners. We have aerospace experts that come in, we do the field experiences. Jim already mentioned that the state colleges are part of the program, and the tech colleges, Okaloosa Tech, John Williams hosted us as well. So one of the reasons that we incorporate AI into every course that we're doing, not just because it's a buzzword and it kind of everybody's like into it now, but in reality, we know that when we talked about this yesterday about disruption in the workforce, but it's really not it's disruption, it's not displacement, right? So we're just moving people in another area, but it's really important for our teachers to understand that we have to start addressing this at the K-12 level. And workforce, the employers are already saying, we either expect it to be used or we think it will be used. And so once we kind of get over the grumblings of what can possibly happen, we can start thinking about how AI can be a benefit, and talking about the different things that are needed for the K-12 teachers to really embrace it. So we created a course, 2 courses, one for elementary teachers, one for high school teachers, that embedded all the industry things, aerospace, advanced manufacturing, all that good stuff, and AI. And we took the approach of let's teach teachers how AI works, not just go use it. So we talked about large language models, natural language processing. We had lessons, you can see here's a gentleman we were actually talking about probably distribution models and how the large language model will predict the next word. And we actually did it. And this is a K2 lesson about how AI and generative AI works. It can be relatable, it can be used, and it can be related right back to the standards so that teachers are actually teaching things, but in a very relevant context and not diverting from the state standards. We had a lot of successes. It made the news. That was not something that we were anticipated. 2 of our teachers from Santa Rosa County called the news and said, hey, we want to share this. And so Michelle and Anna are on there. But 2 of the important things that we kind of took away from this, I was excited, is that they said it was intense learning. And that's one of the things that we want to modernize professional learning for the teachers. It needs to be back right up there with course content and making sure we understand that. But the bottom one, I don't know if you can see the quote, but pretty much he said, we learned that we have to teach kids how to be critical consumers of AI. And that's a really important piece to this. So we're really excited about that. So what lessons have we learned that could possibly help you guys as you're working either at the state college level, if you're working with K-12 teachers, if you're working in industry, wherever you're at, there's a couple of things that we wanted to share that could help. First, lesson number 1, we learned exposure is key. You already knew that. We have some data to back it up. In our world, the researchers like to look at STEM perception, STEM identity perception of teachers. Most of the teachers we started with were elementary. They identified as reading teachers. not in the STEM world or STEM realm. And you can kind of see left to right, if you look at each of these graphs and the shifts in graphs, from I am confident I can explain fundamentals of natural language processors. I'm confident to welcome student questions, and I feel I know enough to teach some AI. You can see the large shifts in these graphs. And these were elementary reading teachers that after coming to this said, listen, I think I can do this. I think I can, and as long as they think they can, they're more apt to start doing things. So that was the first thing. Then that was an AI course that we did. We have a track for that. We also know that in advanced manufacturing, automation is key, robotics. And a lot of times in K-12 education, robotics starts at the middle school level, high school electives, or their after-school clubs. And we wanted to take the approach with, can we get gen ed teachers to start embracing and doing different things within this? And again, shout out to Santa Rosa County, there's a history teacher that is now embedding in their history class simple machines, Rube Goldberg's pre-engineering conversations and durable soft skills in her history class from coming to this. So we're really excited that that happened in this. And you can see when the teachers come, they're gonna get on the ground, they're gonna play, and they're gonna get their hands dirty. So some quick things that you can see, this one in the corner, I don't know if you guys can see that, all cardboard, pneumatics, making a robotic arm. Hardly any money needed there. So we showed the teachers how you can do that with the kids, and then lift and move some little baskets and things like that. So that's something that teachers can feel that they can do. They could connect it to their literacy skills, their math, their science, a variety of things, still feel comfortable that they covered the things they needed for the state assessments, but with some really fun, cool things. And then one of the other things I will say up in the top right is we had, as I mentioned, a lot of the teachers returning to help be facilitators within that. And I couldn't have said it better, where she's helping spark a movement. And really that's what Inspire is about, is this movement to make sure the entire Northwest Florida community can understand the awesome possibilities coming with advanced manufacturing to the area and how we need to help get that workforce ready. Second lesson, credentials build buy-in. It's been something in the industry, and I know yesterday there was conversations about experience is important too. This is very new to teachers. Them having to get extra credentials that aren't related to like the state education, getting a certificate or a license. So this is very different and very new, and it helps prove their competency in certain areas as we're going through that. The third lesson we learned is access to AI is still a challenge. When it was released, what, three years ago now?
Yeah, I mean, the open AI released it like that.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing came through, everybody's like, oh, let's look at this. This is 177 teachers responded, and the first one, if you can't see it, my district has an AI policy. 9% said yes, the rest said I don't know or no. Keep that in mind. The next question says, I can use it directly with my students. Now 26% said yes. They didn't know, but now they kind of know, but they don't know. As a teacher, I can use AI while working. They don't know their district policy, but yes, they can use it. And the district had provided guidance that's still on the other side of that. This isn't common to just our teachers. Jim and I attended innovation faculty meeting at FSU every other Wednesday, and this is still the same confusion, I'm sure, at state colleges, at universities across the area. It's like, yeah, you can, but then maybe you can't get to the website, or maybe the kids can, but they can't. Like, how can you do it? It is still a very confusing process. So as workplace and employers are letting people use it, our kids are still not using it. And so if the expectation by the employers are that they're going to know how to come in and do this, they're either learning it on their own time, maybe not with ethical and bias considerations built into conversations, and then we're missing that piece of that too. So that's interesting. The fourth lesson is fear of AI is a real thing. All right, I know you might read social media things about takeover and all, and some people are just crazy, but it is a real thing. And anybody want to guess the number one teacher concern with AI? Say that again?
False input.
Oh, okay, for online courses, sure. But what was the other one? Cheating. If Jim and I hear one more time from a teacher that, oh, they're gonna cheat with it, like, let's be honest, they're cheating already, come on. like, it's just that whole, like, they cheat, they exchange questions. I mean, there's essay mills online. I mean, like, So let's be honest, so the biggest thing that we want to think about when we're putting our courses together are these two questions. And making sure we don't do this. Is AI leading to narrow student activities, more procedural math, or the fuller range of activities? Like, can we get into simulations, virtual reality, all those types of things that can enhance the learning process? And then the other one is AI supporting the whole learner. Looking at social conversations, enabling kids to participate in small group, the things that you actually do with your peers and in the workplace when you get together and you have a problem and you go talk to somebody. Like, those are the cool things that you can do with AI. You can either simulate it with AI, as I call him my, or her, or they, my colleague. When I talk to chat, I'm like, I'm working with my colleague right now to come up with ideas. But these are the kinds of things that we're trying to make sure that the teachers can understand how you can use it without, quote, that cheating fear. Here's a quick video I wanted to really show you about this past summer with robotics. I thought you guys would like to see this, and then I'll end with one more lesson. All right, and then that last lesson learned is, I think, having these conversations, meeting people like you, thinking about what's the future, what can we do for national security? What can we do to make sure that everything that we're doing in Florida is the best and the next level, is really rethinking about the true purpose of education. And that's hard for us to do, we're systematically ingrained in a lot of things, and to really rethink these. We have to think and know that right now AI is an expert in answering rote factual information. What test do we usually give? Rote factual information. So now we have AI that already knows pretty much everything that we're testing the kids on. And I'm not saying they're cheating, I'm saying think about that. They have to go above that to be better than AI. It writes pretty much on the average college student level. So we have to think about that already in mind. Hallucinations exist. Some of them are getting better, some of them not necessarily. But what Jim and I struggle with are our educators or people in general able to know if AI says something incorrect. That's the biggest key. I'm not even getting into the image fakes and all that other stuff. I'm just like, when you're typing something in, like, help me understand aerospace, if AI hallucinates, we might be perpetuating. So content knowledge is still really key to let teachers make sure that they understand and learn that. And then I don't know if you saw this article, but it says artificial intelligence isn't ruining education, it's exposing what's already broken. And that's something that we try to reflect on deeply, is how can we change what we're doing? To make sure that we have deeper understanding, more hands-on experiences with the kids, and that they're ready to think and problem solve. Any questions? And then there's our contact information.
Do you do part of this at the FSU campus in Panama City?
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
The question was, is this out of FSU Panama City? It's actually based out of FSU Panama City. Jim and I happen to be at the Tallahassee campus, but a lot of this is coming out of there. We have our executive director, Drew Allen, was hired about 6 months ago. And they're all based out of there, but I have to tell you that just because we're based out of Panama City campus, I feel like we're on the road all the time, from Pensacola all the way to McCullough and all over the place. And so I think while many of our faculty are there and they'll be expanding some of the campus activities there, it's really a whole Northwest Florida concept.
Your presentation for this.
Possibly. You know what you might have done? We are actually in running for an NSF Engines grant, another grant that would expand this to all the counties not touching the water. Maybe that's what you were at.
It was with Eve.
With Eve? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I know you're,
Ernie, wait, here, I got it.
Just repeat it.
Double around.
So I know your great focus is on the Panhandle, right? But are those resources like that? I was really interested in that robotics lab. You said that was created out of cardboard?
Yeah.
Is that something you can share?
Yeah, so that's one of the things we want to work on. So the other interesting piece of this is, and I know when Bob was talking yesterday about CPOMs, FSU, it runs the CPOMs platform. So if you have any questions or if there's time and you want us to show you that, we certainly will. But a lot of our activities go on CPOMs so that we can get it out to the masses. Right now, currently with the funding, it's for those counties. We are working on ways to make sure teachers and other people can get those activities. And we get a lot of requests from other counties or working with different people. And so, because our funding covers for those teachers, we're looking at other ways that perhaps, the school district wants us to come in, they can pay X amount of money and we can just take that program and go there. So if that's something you guys are interested in doing, I was picking on Tyler's brain. I'm like, hey, you guys got some really awesome lab equipment. We're gonna be running a summer camp curriculum. How about we write it with you? We send the kids here if that's okay. And that's really what Inspire's about, is making these connections and trying to break down the silos that has constantly existed. Kudos to you guys. I was a gen ed teacher for years and I really got honestly jealous because you guys do awesome, cool things. I was a math teacher for years, and until I started playing around with how quadratics are really cool, I got bored. And I'm like, if I get bored and I like math, my gosh, what are the kids doing? And so I'm telling you, I get jealous of all the cool toys you guys get to play with. And I think we just need to have the gen ed teachers start seeing the cool things that you guys are doing and just rethink education in that form. We can still get great test scores. We can still do all that, but we can also have fun while we're doing it.
I've got a couple questions. I noticed that when you were talking about AI and no policies and all that, I think in our district, the system we're in, the high schools are so tied down with even able to get to the internet to do anything. They can't use AI. It's not that they don't want to, they just cannot use it. The IT departments in there are tighter than the colleges are. And I embrace it in for colleges, because like I say, I expect you to use it. You need to know how to use this, but you need to go out and research your answer. I'm not gonna tell you whether it's right or wrong. You have to figure out if it's right or wrong, because we get a lot of wrong answers. I mean, a ton of wrong answers on a lot of stuff. A lot of right answers too, but they have to understand what that is. But at an elementary and a high school, I don't even know how they're using it, because in our district, you can't get to the internet, period.
And that is a great point. We have worked across the state for years now for the other piece of Inspire that Jim and I work on is SCR STEM, for the Center for Research in STEM at Learning Systems Institute, is our home department at FSU. And 8 years ago, we did a whole thing on additive manufacturing, 3D printing. We had over 600 printers across the state. And the research that we learned behind that is exactly what you're getting at, is that some of the schools weren't willing to get it onto their Wi-Fi to even get the download to print. There was a lot of issues that kind of came to fruition. So what did we try to do? So the next time we did it, we invited the IT people to come and say, hey, listen, we're not gonna burn down the place. Take a look at this. This is cool. I think the biggest thing is right now the transition to AI will be about how to use it with kids. Right now, we did everything with co-designing with AI, trying to get the teachers to understand how it works. So they understand where the hallucinations come from. They understand there's biases built into the large language models so that they can figure that out. And then we can co-design with it so that we're always human in the loop. If you look at any AI framework, UNESCO, from the United States Department of Education, it all talks about human in the loop. And so we continue to promote that educators, everybody should have that human in the loop.
Okay, any more questions? All right, thank you very much. All right, we're heading off to the vendor break, so head on back there. We're behind now. We're a few minutes behind, but there's some good questions there. So let's go ahead and head to the vendor break. We're gonna come back with some Florida Make updates here in probably about 5-10 minutes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. We have Florida Makes updates. If Jolene wants to get started or.
I'm here, right? Good morning. For those of you who know me, I'm fairly energetic on my own, but fair warning, I've already had energy tea. So all bets are off. So first thing, I want to thank Northwest Florida State College and of course the FLATE team for putting this together. Right, thank you. We could not do it without our partners in the community. And that's what my discussion is about today. It's all about partnership. And I am here representing community and the industry today. First, a quick little story. You know, as I was growing up, I'm a Midwest girl, you might be able to tell from the boots. When I was, a young child, I realized very quickly that industry was important. So my family, my parents were not educated, neither graduated high school. And they worked very menial jobs. And finally, they found manufacturing. And lo and behold, they could support themselves, support a family. Buy a house eventually, live that version of the American dream that they considered theirs. So industry and partnership is super, super, super important. I knew very early on that education was my way to something better, something different. And so it's with that in mind that we talk about collaboration and partnership and all of the things that go along with it. So how many of you know about Florida Makes? Oh, look at you. All those hands up. I am super excited. So Florida Makes, our only mission is to strengthen and advance Florida manufacturing. That's it. Super simple. And we are here not only for manufacturers and for the manufacturing ecosystem, but to develop the partnerships with y'all right across the state. We are part of something called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, a nationwide organization through NIST. I won't go into all of those details. However, what it means is my toolbox to help you and industry is deep. It's not just my knowledge, it's not just the FLATE team's knowledge, it's not just Mike Haller's knowledge. It's the entire Florida Makes team and our nationwide partners. So it works really well because we can politely steal the programs from other states that are working and bring them to y'all. And we can take the things that we're doing well and share that with the rest of the country. So it's important that these relationships, collaborations, partnerships, et cetera, use whatever word you want, take place. Some of the tools in our toolbox you'll see in the pie chart. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm sure that the slides are going to be shared. I don't need to read that to you. I'd rather just have a conversation. But the important part is when an industry partner comes to me and says, gosh, Jolie, we have this challenge. I don't have to worry about being their only solution. I can reach out to all of my partners, including my education community, and partner with you to solve it. Right? So that's our real role inside of Florida Makes, is we are the problem solvers. I always tell our industry companies, our manufacturers that, I'm your Swiss Army knife. It doesn't matter really to me what your challenge is. It's really matters to me that we solve it, whatever it is. And whether that's my helping you, one of our partners in education helping you, I really don't care, just so it gets solved. Okay? And I know some of you are involved with your local manufacturing associations and such, and I think that's a marvelous tool and resource. Here in Northwest Florida, we don't have one of those. Right? I am it. So that's why it is imperative that I have the collaborative efforts of the community and we come together and we solve things. Some of you I see at the EDC EDA events, some of you I see at Inspire events, some of you I see at school district things. I'm all over the place, right? But the key is I'm also a phone call or email away for those of you who want to touch base. So I just mentioned that because everywhere in the state, we're a little bit, while we are the same, a bit different. Some of us have RMAs, some of us have, manufacturing or industry groups, some of us don't necessarily have that here. So let's talk just a little bit about some manufacturing and industry facts. Did you know that Florida has over 27,000 manufacturers at this point? Who knew that? A couple of you, but you're all in industry, you don't count, right? That means we also have almost 450,000 jobs here in Florida directly related to manufacturing. So just to give you a bigger picture, there are 13 million jobs in manufacturing across the country. And we are fast pushing 500,000 just here in Florida. Okay. Our average wage, about 80 grand. You can support a family in manufacturing. Right? Not all of our students are going to university. It's important that they understand our state colleges, our community colleges, our technical schools, our trade craft schools, all apprenticeship programs. All of this is an option. Had I completely understood my daughter's background when she was younger, she would be a welder today. I would not have forced her to go to college. It was miserable for both of us. Right? Mom paid for a really good 2-year party. Right? She would be a welder. Right? She would be in manufacturing to some degree. She would be into some of these other things. In fact, she might be an auto mechanic. She spends a lot of time in the garage. The other item is that manufacturing and industry, this type of industry, is important to our community. For every dollar we spend in manufacturing, it gives us $3 back almost to our community. That's a big impact. I won't go into all of those numbers because I would rather move into how do we really do that partnership. So let's talk. Manufacturing needs you. Manufacturing needs access to workforce. Now, when I was in manufacturing, I've been in that community both as a consultant and as a machine shop owner. I got to the point where I just wanted the kids coming out of high school. I would rather take them and mold them to what I wanted. Then I didn't have to untrain some of the bad habits that some of the experienced manufacturers, operators, machinists brought to the table. Matter of fact, I had a big sign in the facility that said, the way we've always done it is not allowed here. Right? Who can relate? Education is kind of like that too, right? You guys are always evolving, things are changing, the needle is moved, right? Kind of like that book back in the day, I'm dating myself, Who Moved My Cheese? It's always being moved around, things are changing. But workforce is a big thing. In Northwest Florida and everywhere, workforce is a big thing. That's where education is crucial. To understand that you are impacting those students every day with what their options could be. It's not just university. Manufacturing becomes increasingly technical. Long gone are the days of my dad's manufacturing. Right? Long gone are the days where he would come home covered in just filth. Right? And y'all can relate, mama would make him strip at the door. Right? Everything, boots, run through the house, in your skivvies. That has changed. Our computers, our machines, everything is now, it's linked to the internet, to the Wi-Fi, to the server, everything is run by computers and motherboards and all of the things that go along with that. AI is playing an increasingly important role. Who's to know if that's good or bad just yet? I don't think we have a clear understanding of that. We also have to understand that automation is the key. Right? Automation is the key for manufacturing to continue to be reshored here in the States so that we continue to be a consumer of our own product and less reliant on the global market. Our manufacturers are also woefully behind in exporting. Right? Not something you can solve, but something we are working on with our manufacturers. Everyone else on the globe knows that they need to export. They need to export to us, frankly. But where our companies aren't as good at that. So we are working and spending time educating them. We've learned, of course, I've mentioned not every student is going to university. So how do we help them with pathways and options so that they can become an important member of society, a contributing member of society, so that they can support themselves and be joyful about what life has to unfold for them, right? It's not all about work. A little bit of balance would be nice. Our manufacturing ecosystem is important. We need innovation, right? We have whole companies that specialize in just innovation. Students are encouraged, hopefully, to think outside the box. It's not just, let's get this test done, right? Let's not just get this. They have to be critical problem solvers today, critical thinkers, able to question whether that AI is telling them something that's truthful, right? If their brain is telling them, that seems a little strange, maybe we should do some additional due diligence and not just accept it as truth. Right? So they have to be discerning problem solvers. The partnerships that we're looking for, industry with education, and certainly education with industry, is so that we could do exactly that. We can partner in the classroom, we can partner in the community, we can talk and build innovators, future patent holders, and people who want to participate in something bigger. I think we all know that our young people today, they don't want to just go to a job. They want to be impactful. They want to participate in something bigger than themselves, whatever that might look like. But they also require balance, right? They're not going to be like my dad who worked 80 hours a week and been okay with it, right? That's not what we're going to see now. And we as employers, manufacturers, industry, we need to plan and mold things appropriately so we can continue to grow, to scale, to hire, and make sure that we're doing that in an intentional and pragmatic way. There are opportunities for collaboration. I know Carrie and Jim talked about some of the work we're doing with some of the schools. It doesn't stop there, right? Inspire is just one part of the ecosystem here in Northwest Florida. We work hard to work with the state colleges and technical colleges, as well as directly with the manufacturers, to help them expand all of those things, whether we're helping them solve their challenges internally,
or we're helping them solve some of their workforce challenges. And even identifying what are we going to need 5 years from now? Because technology changes quickly. Right? My first computer, my daughter was about 2, so we're talking mid-80s. And it cost me a lot of money to have that computer. I can buy a laptop for half of what I paid for that first computer. And that was that long ago, and now it seems to change so much more fast, so much more quickly. So educators, so our of course, our manufacturers and our industry need you, the educators. And you need the industry, right? Our partnering options are all over the place. We can work with schools on apprenticeship programs. We can work with schools on the Adopt a School that was mentioned earlier. Matter of fact, Inspire and I are going to be working on just that with a couple of the schools. We're going to pilot a couple of things with some of our Santa Rosa teachers and then roll that out across the Panhandle. How many of you know of Wakulla High School? Have you visited? OMG is all I can say. Every student who leaves Wakulla High School leaves with a cert. Every student. And they are darn near pushing 100% graduation rates. Super fascinating. Right? How many of us would love to have darn near 100% graduation rates and every student leaving with some kind of cert? Wow, right? It's an amazing place to tour if you ever have an opportunity. They are all in. And all of you want to be all in, right? We need to help you do that. We need to support some of that. We need to figure out how do we spread that, that program, that system, that whatever across the state of Florida. Okay, I mentioned Adopt a School and apprenticeship programs. How many of you know about some of our apprenticeship programs?
Which one?
Which one, Sam says? Well, you're kind of spoiled, you know about them.
Yeah.
Rod knows about them. Okay, so Florida makes sponsors apprenticeship programs so that we can work directly with the manufacturers and industry. They're already approved through Department of Education, so we don't have to worry about all the red tape and paperwork. And what that means is that our manufacturers don't have to do that on their own, right? We have 4 today, production, industrial, quality, and maintenance. And we have more coming. We'll let you know about those when they're ready. Okay, but this is important because we can also work, and Ernie, correct me, we can also work with the high schools and colleges and such on pre-apprenticeship so that when students leave, especially if we're wanting to help them with certs before they leave high school, they can do the virtual part of that training ahead of time and have that completed. And then when they leave high school, they're ready to go. Accurate? Okay. Sometimes I get my facts mixed up. Okay, we talked about industry tours. I think we learned through the pandemic that we can do things virtually. And so we're working to do some of those tours virtually because the Panhandle is spread out. We're all over. It's a big area. And so having that ability to have some of the tours captured on video and shared with the schools is a big deal. Doesn't take the place of an in-person tour, but it certainly helps make things intriguing. It gets people's attention. And I love the fact that Inspire is making that a journey that the student can pick where they're going next and give them a little bit of a dynamic choice there. A couple of our organizations also do summer camps. So I have a company who has just kicked this off. They are doing a summer camp for machinists. They're bringing a couple of students into their shop for 2 weeks in the summer. They do make a little bit of money, right? But they're having students come in to learn about machinery, to learn about PLC logic and coding and some of these things, depending on what the student is interested in. Super interesting, for sure. I've seen it across the country used, and I'm excited to see it happen here and how it transforms some of the conversation that goes on inside of that community. We can talk all day about Industry 4.0 and the various skills needed, or 5.0 or 5.2 or whatever you want to call it these days. But there are very specific skills that we're looking for from the students today. It's not just the ability to go into a facility and push a green button. It's important to be able to push the green button, but it's also important to be able to use the 6 inches between our ears, right? It's not just a mindless activity at this point. It's connected to a computer. If something goes wrong, by the time you hit the stop button, it's over. It's too late, right? So we have to be mindful and intentional, and students have to realize that we need to pay attention. It's not just hitting the green button. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. Again, back to the problem solving and being able to think on our feet a little bit. Communication and such is equally as important. You know, we live in this era right now of this. No discussion. Let me just play with my phone. All right, the phone doesn't talk to me. Well, it does talk to me, but it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily work with me in a team environment. Maybe some phones do. I haven't found that yet. So it's really important that our students learn to play nice with each other, right? That we learn to be a team player, that we understand communication is important, that we understand, gosh, how to look somebody in the eye and talk, right? So all of these skills are equally as important to me in industry as getting someone that graduation certificate and helping them move into the workforce. Education forums like this is one of those ways we collaborate. I'm excited to see this in the Panhandle. So often I think Florida forgets there is a central time zone as part of the state. Just my take on it. How many of you are actually here in the Panhandle? A few of you.
We're all sitting here.
Well, let me rephrase that. How many of you how many of you live in the Panhandle? Thank you for helping me clarify my question. All right.
Yeah, I answered.
You know, gonna keep me on my toes. That's why I took that energy drink, that energy tea this morning. Yeah, Florida's a big state. People don't realize that to get from Pensacola down to the Keys, it's a long way. We're a big state, right? And there's all kinds of demographics, all kinds of skills, all kinds of nationalities and languages and all of the things that go along with that. So it's important that as a team, we are on the same page helping our students move forward, regardless of where they are, what their family is, all of those things. I would not be here without the important teachers in my life, right? Wouldn't have happened. I was blessed with a 5th grade teacher who was amazing, and he let me work ahead because I was bored. So I finished 2 grades that year because he let me work ahead. And there were 3 of us in the class, the 5th grade class, that were able to do that. Super exciting, right? It was important. I lived at the library. That was my happy space. Okay. So educators are so important to our young people. Last but not least, we already spoke about some of the manufacturing month activities. I would say this, Ernie and his team at Flake, they have great tools in their toolbox. They have proven strategies to help you with all of that. Some of the manufacturing month activities, and frankly, some of the activities and tools that they have for year-round discussion are there. I would also challenge you this, think outside the box. Come up with something new. And I can almost guarantee, Ernie can yell at me later, I'll beg forgiveness, that the Flake team would help support you. if you came up with something new. They would love to see something that works for you, that you tested in your classrooms or your schools, your district, your community, that could be rolled out to the rest of the state. Right? There's nothing that says the tools in the existing toolbox are all there is. How do we teach our students to be innovative if we are not? We set the stage, we set the tone. So I encourage you to think outside the box. Think like that Swiss Army knife. How can I use all of the things at my disposal to create something that my students would love? To create something that industry would be thankful that I did in the classroom to help create a better contributing person into society, a better worker, a better community member. Okay. Last but not least, it begins with you. Begins with me, begins with all of us, right? Collaborating, doesn't matter where your location, what your background, where you are, what you do. The manufacturers in your community, I guarantee, want to collaborate. But we have to reach out to them. We have to speak with them. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know that you're looking if you're not asking. I think Sam would tell you that too, right? They don't know what you need from them if we're not having a discussion. They don't know that you would like them to come visit your classrooms. They don't know that you want them to put together a little STEM activity to do, right? They don't know. So it's important. And frankly, you all don't know who to go call, right? That's where your regional groups, your business advisors, your FLATE team, your Florida Makes team, your community should be helping fill that gap for you. And if they're not, and you're not sure, call Ernie. You can call me too. You can call me too. I would throw myself under the bus just as much as I throw Ernie under the bus. Help us, help industry. Help us hire the next gen. Right? All right. In 2023, Florida Department of Commerce and Florida Makes put together a report that gives you, remember some of those facts I gave you, those MAMA facts earlier? They put that report together by county and area. The QR code is here. It's also back on the Florida Makes table. The QR code is there. That report is broken down by area, by county, etc. It's great information for you. Okay. My email and phone number is there as well. If you email me, I promise I will respond. You might need to give me a day. Give me 24 hours to reply. Because if I'm in the field, all bets are off. Okay. But I promise I will respond. Even if it's just to say, hey, I'm passing your question on to Ernie or to whoever. Please let me know when you get an answer. So I know that follow-up has taken place. Okay. Are there any questions you have for me regarding industry?
Yeah, I guess you mentioned that Florida Makes sponsors internships. What does sponsor mean?
So apprenticeship. We sponsor apprenticeship. What that means, Mr. Lee, is that we already have the work done with Department of Education. So the companies, the schools, et cetera, who work with us, they don't have to go to the work, through the work, to get that through Department of Ed. All of our apprenticeship programs have certs as part of that. So every person who goes through receives various industry certifications. And then as they work with an employer, they're also receiving all of that OJT, that on-the-job training, and that mentorship along the way.
Okay.
The school, the business, they don't have to worry about the red tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
But they are the ones paying the paying the apprentice.
Yes.
Okay.
So when the apprentice goes to work, the company pays for that apprentice their wages. There are grants and things out there I'm not going to cover here.
Okay.
Yes, but for all intents and purposes, the employer pays the wages for that apprentice.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you, of course. Other questions?
So I have a student that's a foreign national.
Yep.
Is there, and he does not have a work permit. Are there any restrictions like that for that program?
That is a fabulous question. I would expect there would be. I don't have that answer. Sam, do you have some?
Well, yeah, I've got one now that's she can work for the school because she has a permit for that, but she cannot go into industry and work. That's not allowed. And that's because of recent, administration changes at the federal government have limited some of that. Hold on, we got another answer for you.
No, I have a question.
Oh, question, sorry.
So I do wonder, so Sam, so I'm an outside the box kind of gal. So I wonder, if she could get industry experience and just not be paid, if it could be more like an internship, but an unpaid internship.
We looked at that, but that didn't fly.
Didn't fly.
Because she has a student visa,
Okay,
there's restrictions
Yeah.
on what she can and can't do. So like she'll never get into Lockheed Martin, of course, because that's all, you gotta be a US citizen, all that.
Yep.
But a lot of the companies are not interested in foreign because they figure they're gonna have to sponsor in some way. And they're still gonna be subject to their rules and insurance and all that, and we run into a lot of
Yeah, I know.
problems with that. But she can work in your school. I have interns that intern for me, and I'm giving them tasks as if they were in a shop or something. Once you get all your equipment together, they could come to work for you at the school. So right now, Sally just got temporary approval for this young lady to come work for us. And Sally's gonna put her through the quality, because she's in electronics, but she's gonna go through some quality and electronic stuff with us as if she was working in effect. She's gonna be building circuits, putting together some things for Sally and stuff like that. And we were able to get our dean to move some money around in the budget to put her on as an employee temporary while she's going to school. So that kind of worked out. But we had to really finagle. She can work for the school, she just can't work for outside the school.
Yeah.
That's the visa says that. Here,
Thank
another
you.
question.
Hey, for the apprenticeship, does the program have to be accredited or can it be a non-degree seeking? So my automotive is non-degree seeking as of right now. We're working on accreditation, but it's really hard to get, students sponsored for apprenticeships to be able to attend school and work. That's been our biggest hurdle.
I don't believe they have to be, so I don't believe the program has to be completely accredited. Right, we have the registered apprenticeship program, and frankly, we can take that pretty much
I
anywhere.
think that's a Marcelo question probably, yeah.
I can get clarification though, and I can let you know. Yeah, I don't think we need that though, because the program itself is registered with the state, so, but I will get that clarification and get that answer to you.
That's great.
Any more questions? She'll be here for a little bit. If you guys want to walk up and talk to her, we're gonna move on with the agenda, but thank you. Okay. Second, let me get settled in here. Okay, next up, I believe we have. Is it Chatty?
Yeah, from University of North Florida.
Is she online
Should
or?
be online.
Okay.
Just gonna share.
It'll be online, and we're gonna do AI for manufacturing. We've already done most of the college updates, so while we're sitting here doing it, if you wanna think of something real quick, we can talk about, but we're not gonna spend a lot of time on the college updates, because we kinda already did that yesterday. Unless something changed from yesterday. Shouldn't be any more college updates. One of the things, Jolene, while we're waiting on them to get on, was our local industry won't do apprenticeship programs with the state or federal. We have Lockheed doing a federal one, but that was because they have an electronics program that fits it. But most of our, we're struggling with that because it's like putting a square peg in a round hole, it just doesn't fit, a lot of gaps, and they don't have the personnel, because they're small, to manage an apprenticeship on their level. Although we tried to do that and we were gonna manage it at the college level, but it didn't work out, they didn't want it, they just nobody in our entire group, we had a grant for it and nobody spent any of the money, we turned it back in and said, can't do anything because nobody will do it, and they said, we don't wanna get involved in that, we don't have the manpower, we're not gonna deal with this. The paperwork, this is before you guys started this was like a long time ago. But what I am doing is I'm doing local apprenticeships, and we're doing a local consortium with the Manufacturing Association to make one that matches their thing locally. Eventually, we're hoping we can develop into it, so I think there's some stages there that we can work on, and Career Source is involved, they wanna help pay for that, even though it's not a registered thing. We are doing certifications though, so.
No, I appreciate that. And in the future though, that's something that Florida Makes could help with and
Okay, so what Florida Makes can help with that, if everybody hears that, yeah. Okay, we're gonna head on to Chatty, he's about ready to get started, I think, is that correct?
Yep.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So we have prepared the presentation of 45 minutes discussing the recent applications and developments in artificial intelligence for the industry. So I'm Shadi Ignatius, I'm a professor at the University of North Florida. My research is mainly about creating these digital twins which try to replicate the industrial system so we can optimize and find the better solutions for the systems in real time. So first of all, the motivation of the work. This is one of the novel industrial processes, which is a magnetic bearing placed on a shaft, uh, which is used for multiple applications, but mainly the objective is to reduce the friction by using these magnetic bearings. Now, the problem in these bearings is that if you have a hammer that falls on the shaft, for example, you should react within really a fraction of a millisecond, not a fraction of a second, to overcome the impact. Otherwise, the shaft can break these solenoid and can damage your bearings. So the classical control is obsolete because it will generate oscillation and take a lot of time to react. There are multiple applications based on the physics-based control where we have a simulation running in parallel of the shaft. This is in the framework of the Industry 4.0. But in this application, which is the example that we are taking, even with the most developed hardware and software technologies, we cannot achieve using simulations and classical computation technique the computation speed that we need. So we are interested in creating something new, and the use of artificial intelligence in this field can give us the ability to accelerate the computation and to react faster to such hazard, for example. So what we have in front of us is what we call the twin continuum, which goes from to the left, the virtual, where we have the physics-based application, we have the finite element simulation, we have the software that we use to try to simulate the process. The problem in the virtual application is that it takes a lot of time, it needs a lot of resources, it's complex. If you want to simulate something that is not implemented in commercial software, you'll have really hard time to code everything from scratch. So, but at the same time, this is reliable. We know that it's based on a physical equation. We know that it conserves the mass, for example, it conserves the energy. All the first principles apply in this virtual domain. On the other end, we see the digital domain, which is the data-driven models. We have some measurements, and we want to create an application, for example, that would link the inputs to the outputs. We don't understand what's happening. This model is a black box. It takes sometimes a lot of application, a lot of measurements to create this application, and we will always have problems in explaining what's happening inside of it, how to extrapolate beyond the measurement that we have, and how much data we need to measure, where we need to measure, when we need to measure for time-dependent application. And in the middle, we have two domains we have blurry line in between. To the left, we have the informed physics-based method, where we are not using rigid mathematics, let's say, to solve the problem, but we are trying to solve a physical problem using artificial intelligence method. And to the right, we have a combination of a physical model and a data-driven part, which we call the hybrid model. Now the line is blurry or dashed because we cannot place this boundary clearly yet between these two domains. But apparently, in this area over here is where we are going in the future, where we are trying to combine the technology that comes from artificial intelligence and machine learning with the scientific knowledge that we've been accumulating for the last 400 years and all the physical principles that we are trying to give to this machine learning so that it can learn and apply and generate solutions which are satisfactory in this field. So in my presentation, I have several parts. In the first two parts, I'll first explain a little bit how does real-time simulations happen and what is the model order reduction technique, I would say, really fast. Then I'll try to explain a little bit what is the artificial intelligence, what's behind of it, what's behind this term, what's happening inside this black box once we try to use them. And later on, we'll show some applications. First of all, what are hybrid models and what can we do with them? Then we have three types of hybrid models that we can build, which are first, we name it bridge the gap. So if we have a gap between the measurements and the simulation, we can try to correct this gap or bridge the gap between the two. If that gap is big, or if we don't know what is the exact ground truth because the variability is high, in general, we cannot bridge the gap because we don't have a deterministic solution. So we'll go into a probabilistic approximation, which we are naming mind the gap. And the last application, it's when we are trying to venture in areas where it was impossible previously because we don't have models or the models that exist are very slow to a point that they are not useful. And the last section is the generative design, which is something very new in engineering, where we are trying to generate solutions or trying to get the solution that we need without really going into iterative process. So let's start with the first section. First of all, how can we generate fast and accurate solutions? The main idea on one slide is just the domain decomposition. So instead, let's say you have a 3D domain. Instead of trying to solve in a 3D domain, we'll solve a sum of 1D domain solutions. We'll multiply them with tensor multiplication in between each other. Definitely one solution on X, Y, and Z will not be enough, so we have a sum. Once we have computed a lot of terms, once the sum goes to the infinity, we will converge to the exact solutions, but we'll never have to go to the infinity. In general, only few terms would be enough in the sum. There are many methods that exist to perform this real-time simulation and domain decomposition. Some of them reduce space and time, some of them only space, but this is the main idea behind these technologies, which are applied in many applications. This is, for example, the simulation of 3D printing of composite material tapes. This is the squeeze flow of composite material and compression molding. This is a video of the crash of a bumper of a Honda 2017 over here. And we see that using hyper reduction, we don't need really to rebuild all the bumper, but only few elements would be enough to get the total solution of the complete bumper. And this is the idea of how we can accelerate the process and solve in real time without having to wait. Some other applications in composite forming processes. This is, for example, the automated tape placement simulation, where we created an application and we can change the parameters of the simulation. We can get in real time the solution, whether it's over here a section in the part or we can have also the thermal field along the 3D part. So you can also find all the 3D solutions on a tablet. Anytime we change the parameter, we get the real solution in real time. We have other similar applications for automated tape placement on a PC, where also we can change the material and process parameters to get the result. These are all applications of 3D printing of continuous fiber composites, where we compare also you can find the deformation of the part because of the change of the temperature after printing it to have this small wrapping that appears. All of these use only the technologies that are based on model order reduction. We also have advanced technologies like the simulation of the microwave heating and microwave curing of composites. Over here, we have two sections in the part. So we see that once we take a section out of the fibers, we have a different field than inside the fiber. Now, once we come to the artificial intelligence applications, first of all, we'll try to demystify this AI thing. The first idea is that in artificial intelligence, we want to relate some set of outputs to the inputs without really having to suppose a form for f for this function that relates them. Which means that, say, for example, I want to simulate the temperature field inside the manufacturing process, and my inputs are, let's say, the heating power and the velocity of deposition if I'm using 3D printing. I don't want to go through all the process of the simulation. At the same time, I don't want to suppose a polynomial, for example, over here. I need no a priori form of f. So how do we do it? You've definitely seen this picture too many times. What we do is that for every single layer of these pictures, which is a set of neuron, we are just doing z equal mx plus b, where m is a matrix, b is a bias, a vector term, and then we perform an activation, a equal to a function g of z, the function we can choose whatever we want theoretically. And that will make us pass from x to a. Then we repeat the same thing for the subsequent layers. Now the main question, how do we find m and b? We need to have x and y, a set of x and a set of y, and then we have to fit or optimize m and b to perform this relation, which will relate x to y. It's also similar to the model order reduction. The DMD model, for example, would use the same form. If we have a time-dependent problem, we have to do this for every time. So for every time step, so we take whatever historical values we have from the process, we take our inputs, we have the same matrix M and the B to get the output Y. The history is also changing, and we move through time to evaluate this time-dependent process. This is different part of different applications of these algorithms. First, we have the supervised learning, which is when we have the exact x and y, we have a set of measured data, we have inputs and outputs that are measured, and we have, depending on what do we measure, either a classification, defective or not defective, we have a classification model which outputs either 0 or 1, or if we want a temperature, for example, that's a continuous variable, so we have a regression model. The second step is unsupervised learning, where we don't know the why. We have the inputs, but we don't know in which class they exist because there's no classes. So this unsupervised learning will just look into the data and classify each cluster independently. And finally, the reinforcement learning is the algorithm that takes decisions. So we have an architect which will take a decision, let's name it the architect or the learning agent. And then we need a predictive environment that will give a reward to that agent to tell him if he's done a correct decision or not. Well, definitely we cannot let the architect play with our machine. So this predictive environment should be a digital environment or an oracle that can tell the reinforcement agent if it did correctly a decision or not. So key takeaway points. First of all, neural networks are global approximators of underlying relations. They don't learn anything. There is a set of matrices and biases that we need to identify. Okay, so it's just multiplication and sum that is happening inside these algorithms. Neural networks do not assume an a priori form of the relation between the input and the output, but we still have to take a lot of decisions, like which activation function to use, how many layers of the network do we have to put, and all of these decisions regarding the shape of the network. Neural network training is just an optimization problem. We need to identify the best M and B, the best matrices and biases in our network to relate the inputs to the outputs. That being said, optimization problems are not easy to solve. So sometimes we have no solution, sometimes we have a lot of solutions, and the structure and all the analysis that we are doing is to try to simplify this optimization by steering the algorithm to learn the exact physical problem and not some kind of approximation that cannot work beyond the data that we have. So now we will try to combine these two applications and we'll show some examples on that. First, what is a hybrid model? Any measurement you do, the real life measurement is always different from the best modeling that we can do. The best effort, the best calculation we can do is always different from real life because we don't know exactly what's happening in real life. We have models, we have the best estimation, but there's always errors, there's always some ignorance. When we do a real-time modeling to go faster, we generate an additional error, which we hope it's in the right direction, but in general it's not. However, this error, we know how to control it because we have error estimators, everything is clear. The real error that we have is the error between a real-time model, which can be used in the industry in real time, and the real-life measurements. And that's what we need to come with the hybrid model. We need to create an error for this, a model for this error. So how do we do? We are correcting the model that we have. For this, we are just supposing that our output is our original model plus a correction, which we will build using artificial intelligence. This is an application of a problem that we solved with the RTE. It's a company that transports the high current electricity. So they were trying to measure the temperature inside the transformers because this oil temperature is a direct estimation of the age or the remaining life of the transformer. We see that the measured oil temperature is in blue over here, and once we take the data and we build the model on the data only, we see that we have some discrepancies between the artificial intelligence model and the measured result, the error is in green. While when we combine both the physical model that we have and the artificial intelligence, we have a better estimation and we have less errors on this temperature value. Over here we have the average errors, and we see when we use a nonlinear data-driven model along with a nonlinear physical model, we have the best estimation that we have. We have the best estimation of the temperature. Now, the different type of digital twins. First, we can have reliable experimental data, which means that if we repeat the experiment 10 times, we get approximately 10 times the same results. And that in general only happens in labs and highly controlled environment. It doesn't happen all the time. Like in indentation test, it can happen. If we have something that has large variability, which can happen in the industrial setting, like this example where we have filament winding in Arkema. It's an industry that manufactures composite materials. The variability is so high to a point that we cannot know what is the ground truth. So over here, we cannot really correct the model, but we need to estimate the variability around that model. And finally, when we don't have model or models are poorly performing, which is to the left over here is the extrusion of tires, in a die, real tires. This is from Goodyear. We have to extrude the blue cross section so that after swelling and after the tire reaches the ambient temperature, it reaches the green cross section. And there is no model that take us from the green cross section to the blue one, or the opposite, in fact. Even if we know the blue one, we have no model that take us to the green one, because the tires are not a pure material, they're composite. They have wires, they have metallic wires inside of them. So we have nothing that can give us the relation between these two shapes. And to the right, we have a model that we have the magnetic bearings where the models do exist, but they are too slow. We see the number of oscillation per second is very big. And even if you zoom over here, you'll see micro oscillation also, while the force is reaching 10 to the power 4 Newton. So we have a lot of variability, we have a lot of oscillation, and the models cannot go as fast as the real application. So for each one of these three technologies, we'll be showing one example or two in the upcoming section of this presentation. Just one application first before we start.
In the context of the Descartes program, an important focus is the structural health monitoring and management by drones. The usage of unmanned aerial vehicles for structural inspection is becoming nowadays very attractive. Drones can easily be sent to hard-to-access areas, making the operation much safer and faster than classical procedures. Last-generation sensing devices allow to monitor the mechanical state of a structure with high accuracy. Possible damages can be detected and transferred in real time to experts driving the operation and taking decisions. The diagnosis of infrastructure by drones is empowered by artificial intelligence. Data collected by drones are assimilated into numerical simulations to obtain a digital twin of the structural system. Digital twins accelerate decision-making, guaranteeing optimal inspection, monitoring, and maintenance. A given structural system is inspected by using a drone. Data is collected by using high-resolution cameras and 3D scanning. A digital model of the structure component is built and then manipulated on light devices. Drones' measurements allow to estimate the deformation of the structural component. For the same structure, several scenarios are simulated for different loadings, materials, and geometries. Physics-based solutions give access to quantities that cannot be directly measured. Artificial intelligence allows to learn the solution for any deformation scenario. For instance, for different impactor velocities, or for different thicknesses. From the images collected by the drone's hybrid AI applies. All the mechanical quantities can be reconstructed.
Okay, so this was an application. I hope you heard the video. There was the sound in the video, right?
Yeah, we can hear.
So this was an application where we inspect structures and we try to identify the stresses in the structure just from taking pictures of it. For this, we have to correlate with the simulations that generate the same deformation. So let's start now with the part where we bridge the gap between model order reduction and artificial intelligence. This is an application of magnetic bearings where we are rectifying a ring. This is also an SKF magnetics mechatronics application. So we have a shaft where we have a tool which is rectifying the outer ring of the bearing, so we can remove all the defects from this ring. Now the control of the shaft happens by two magnetic bearings, the front and the rear bearing, and the idea from having magnetic bearings is that we can move the shaft slightly by manipulating the magnetic fields in the solenoid around the shaft. Now, to do this manipulation, Currently, there is a model that I'm using which is called the Coer ladder diagram, which is not a bad model. So we see over here two solutions from the finite element and the Coer ladder diagram, but it's not optimal, let's say. So these are the two simulations using the finite element, which is more accurate, and the Coer ladder diagram, which is faster, but still have some defects. We see the solutions are not similar. So we built a correction of the Coer ladder diagram by combining the model of the reduction solutions, which come from finite element but are much faster, and from the direct solution of the Maxwell equation computed using PINs or physics-informed neural network. This combination is passed along with the measured data into another neural network, which will correct the bearing model. And we see over here some corrections that are made on the training set. The training set is a set of data that we used to find these M and B, these matrices and biases in the network. We see that the corrected Coer ladder diagram, which is the blue, overlaps with the finite element, which is much better than the original red one. On all these experiments, and this is for the flux, the magnetic flux. Previously it was for the force. We see also we have similar results, except on some very small locations. And these are for testing set, which are experiments that we have never seen during the training of the neural network. We see that we can also predict correctly the correction for the forces and for the magnetic flux. Another application, which is the curing of heliomyrazine. It's a composite material. This part is made of 92 plies supported on a drum, and we put them in the oven. We have 3 thermocouples placed inside this drum, and then we can get the measurement of the temperature evolution in the environment, which is the yellow one, and the three thermocouples. These are different experiments. We had 12 experiments at our disposition. Each one was more than 6,000 seconds. So it's only 10 experiments, but it's a lot of data because each time point is a data point. This is the classical model that is used for the simulation, and we see that the dashed points are the simulation. The dashed points do not overlap with the solid points, which are the experiment. And now we build a model of the error using the artificial neural networks. And we have, once we add this error modeling to the simulated data, we see that we have now a perfect or near perfect correlation either on the data that is used for the training of the network or the data that is used for the testing. Now we go to the next part where we are discussing mind the gap part, or where we want to just include the variability of the measured data into our predictions. For this, we have a recipe which I'll not go through because we'll waste a lot of time presenting the mathematics behind it. But let's say that we have a recipe which transforms the simulation, which is deterministic, into a variable, into something that has variability included in it. So we'll skip these 3 slides. This is the application where we have the filament winding. Also, we have tapes that are winded on a drum to create a composite material pressure vessel. It's a carbon fiber reinforced epoxy resin. We are heating these tapes with 3 heating sources, 3 infrared heating sources, and we have 2 infrared cameras which will measure these temperatures. Now we see that the measurements are not perfect. We see these reflections that we see over here, and we have variability in the process, we have variability in the emission, we have variability in the measurements. But the simulation, if we solve the Fourier equation for heat transfer, the simulation is deterministic. So what can we do now? We are comparing the simulation, which is in blue, to the experiment, which are the points where we have the measurement and the standard deviation. We see the 95% confidence interval is very high. So the average is close to the simulation, but the variability is very high. So using the non-parametric probabilistic method, which is what we had in the previous 3 slides, we can correct first the simulation to have a mean, which is the red line instead of the original blue line, which is closer to the measurements. But also we have now a confidence interval for the variability of the temperature on each one of the tapes and for the different experiments that we have. Another application is the line keeping assistance, which is a project done with the Renault, the French car manufacturer. We have an experimental test of the car for over 1,000 line keeping assistance interaction, where we had a robot hand mounted on the car to do the measurements. And if we repeat the measurement 10 times for the same velocity, the same road, the same everything, we get different trajectories, I would say, or different paths. So we see over here for the same combination of parameters, we have the simulation in red, and we have the trajectories that are different for 6 different runs, even though we have the same parameters. Because there is a lot of things we don't account for, maybe the wind, maybe the exact position of the on the road, maybe many things. So what we need to do over here is to introduce this variability of the path into the simulation. And we see now that we can first correct the simulation. So the original simulation was this purple line, and the corrected simulation is the average of the simulation. It's in green. And now we have also a path, this gray path, which is the 95% confidence interval of this variability. Now, this algorithm, which corrects the path, is being used for the control of the line keeping assistance and for enhanced control on the real cars, in fact. And it's tested on a real car on a circuit for now. We go to the last part where we don't have models, or models perform poorly. And the first application is an industrial application with Saint-Gobain. Saint-Gobain are the glass manufacturer in France, but over here the application is not for glass, it's for the sound isolation fiberglass foam, which they manufacture. So depending on the density, the modulus of elasticity, and the viscosity of the material that is used, mainly built of fiberglass and resin, we can generate different isolation as a function of the frequency of the sound. So depending on the frequency, the isolation can be better or less better, I would say. And this curve, in fact, is very hard to generate using computation. We need experiments to do it. And therefore, we received like 1,000 experiments, and each experiment contained 25 points along different frequencies. And the machine learning that we created shows over here the predictions versus the exact solution. Once they are on the diagonal y equal x, it means the prediction is equal to the solution, and that's what we need. So over here, we created a pure data-driven algorithm that uses only artificial intelligence to try to estimate, as a function of the mechanical properties, what is the isolation curve that we have once we build the material. The next application is the 5G antennas. Over here also we have models, but they are slow. We need to solve Maxwell equation. It takes a lot of time. And the antennas, the emission antennas, are built by modifying 3 parameters in this case, which is the position of this hand, which connects to the emitting plates. If we move it to the right, we have more current on the right plate than the left plate. So we have 3 of them. And based on the position of the 3 of them, as we see to the right, we can change the value of P1, P2, and P3. We'll see in real time the emitted 5G waves, I would say, or 5G emission bubble, in which direction it would move. The last application, which is the introduction to the last section, I kept it for this, for the end, is the die extrusion with Goodyear. We have more than 2,000 more than 2,000 tire cross-section that we use to create this algorithm, which will output what would be the best die cross-section to generate the tire shape. So the input is the tire shape and the output is the die cross section, which is solving the inverse problem or generating my die as a function of the desired tire cross section. We see over here two examples. When we generate the die cross section, these are symmetrical, so we see this, we have the symmetry from the other side. We only studied half of it for symmetrical tires. This is a patent pending application, which now is filed for patent. One application just to make us out of the manufacturing world, just to make us dream a little bit, it's the allograft.
The prediction of allograft survival represents a critical unmet need in the field of transplantation. By reliably forecasting the lifespan of an organ before the transplant, physicians could offer informed counseling to their patients and make personalized decisions. In addition, such predictions would play a pivotal role in refining current organ allocation policies. Various artificial intelligence tools have been proposed for this purpose, but their performance remains far from perfect. Even prognostication tools utilizing post-transplant data can only predict the functionality of the allograft at specific time points, for example, 1, 5, or 10 years post-transplant, rather than the exact time to graft failure. Using the United Network for Organ Sharing database, we retrieved data on all adult deceased donor kidney transplants conducted in the United States from 2000 to 2016. Only 14,090 entries had complete data sets. We partitioned the cohort into a training set and a testing set. Using this information, we engineered a sophisticated artificial neural network that utilizes easily accessible donor and recipient information, readily available to clinicians on the day of transplant, to forecast allograft survival. The artificial neural network that we created is able to accurately predict allograft survival in number of days, relying solely on pre-transplant data. On the training set, the average prediction error is merely 28 days. More importantly, when applied to the independent testing set, the artificial neural network maintains its accuracy, yielding an average prediction error of just 58 days, within our statistic of 0.95. To use the model, the healthcare provider inputs both continuous variables, such as CADE PI, donor and recipient ages, and categorical variables like history of donor hypertension, cause of death, recipient dialysis status, HLA antibody test results, among others. The algorithm then provides real-time prediction of allograft survival and offers insights into variable importance. Employing the random permutation features importance method, the four most influential factors impacting allograft survival are identified as recipient time on dialysis, time spent on the waitlist, recipient age, and cold ischemia time. Two important features of this innovative artificial neural network should be highlighted. First, the model maintains a remarkable 99.55% accuracy in predicting allograft survival at 10 years. Second, it is possible for the model to overestimate allograft survival, but it never underestimates it. In fact, as unforeseen complications do sometimes occur post-transplant, prediction outliers, represented as black stars on the figure, can be seen. These outliers represent cases where the artificial neural network overestimated allograft life, yet unexpected complications arose. Importantly, these outliers constitute only 3% of cases. Given this property of the model, its use would not be expected to increase organ discard. In summary, our artificial neural network is capable of accurately predicting allograft survival with far better performance compared to other tools available today. The prediction is done pre-transplant, thereby informing critical transplant decisions. The development of this artificial intelligence tool marks only the beginning of our project. Our next step will be to enhance user accessibility through the development of a user-friendly graphical interface for the artificial neural network. Further studies using international cohorts will also be conducted to externally and prospectively validate our model.
Okay, so last section, generative design, which is something very new, I would say, unthought before 2025. We can use a combination of several autoencoders, which are some technology of the artificial intelligence, which will transform the domain into what we name the latent space, to either generate like what we did for Goodyear, the dye generation based on the green tire cross section that is desired, or using a given dye, what would be the green prediction, which is the direct problem, and definitely the inverse problem, which is from the desired to what we need to do, is the most desired application. We start with some theoretical shapes, I would say, and based on some inclusions of carbon fiber inside an epoxy, we can say we can specify the desired models of elasticity, Poisson ratio, for example, and go to generate the desired cross section. Over here, we have some applications where we can specify, for example, we need the modes of elasticity in direction 1, 2, G, the shear modes of elasticity, Poisson ratio. What would be the inclusion that we need? Over here, we have the simulated inclusion, which generated these values, and then we have the predicted shape by the AI algorithm. We see, for example, that in the third one, we predicted the rotation of this shape, which was pretty the same mechanically. And now we start by using real structures, starting with mousse, in fact, or with some foam. And we see we can reconstruct the foam picture, or from the foam picture, we can predict the density and the compression strength with some errors that do not exceed 5% in general. And we can also generate what would be the foam that would give us the desired material property. And with this, we end up the presentation. So thank you, everyone. And if you have any question, I'm ready.
Any questions? I have one for the medical side of it. Have they figured out if it changed any of the life expectancies of somebody doing a transplant? How did it impact that?
This is old. Once you have, let's say somebody has a renal failure and is on dialysis, a transplant will always increase his life expectancy, whatever is the organ. But what we are doing now over here is trying to predict the life of the organ itself. So that will help us give the right, let's say, organ to the right recipient, because sometimes there is a mismatch in the DNA. There is a lot of stuff that goes into how long this organ will live, to a point that we cannot really know a priori. But apparently, from the available data using neural networks, we can generate a good estimation of this life.
So indirectly, it does definitely increase the life expectancy of somebody receiving the transplant, you think?
Exactly.
That's impressive, yeah. Any questions other than what I've got? All right. Thank you, Chaddy. Appreciate that. That was a really good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, at this stage of our meeting, we're supposed to be doing some more updates, but and we have about, I don't know where the food is, but about 30 minutes, is that right? Wherever Ernie took off to, I guess.
Yeah, just gonna check on the pizza. The pizza should be here in a minute. So we'll have pizza, and there's still a lot left over from yesterday, so
Okay.
let's take that, but we'll have it in a minute.
So let's do this. What dire issues are any of you facing that need to talk about right now? Anything?
Can I make a shameless plug about something?
Absolutely.
Thank you. ASEE has an engineering technology council. And they put on a conference every year, Engineering Technology Leadership Institute. And this year, we're co-locating with CIEC, which some of you may have gone to in the past as well. Let's see if I can get it right. I think it's the Conference for Industry and Education Collaboration. Both, when I say collate, they're back to back in New Orleans this year. So it's February 2nd through the 6th. But I'm kind of pushing more the Engineering Technology Leadership Institute, because this is where everyone across the state or across the country, 2 and 4 year programs get together to talk about best practices. And it's leadership from faculty, from lab staff, from administration, anyone who wants to be part of the conversation when it comes to engineering technology. So it's up on the website, registration's open, and hopefully you'll consider coming. And thank you very much.
And Laura's paying for all this? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, that's- Yeah, I don't know if we can get, I mean, out of state travel is tough, but if you have a grant and you're interested in doing it and have the funds, I would highly recommend it. How many of you have heard, and I know Valencia is heavily involved in this, they're the ones who got this started, but our AAs are changing in the engineering side. Has anybody not heard this yet? You new ones, I know you don't, but,
The AST thing or?
it's going to be a new AA program where it's going to expand financial aid out to almost 80 hours now. So it won't be a 60-hour AS degree, it'll be an 80-hour AS degree. The reason is as you, most of you know, that in order for a student to transfer to a major university to go to school, they're gonna have to pick up all the calculus, differential equations, 2 physics with calculus. Student runs into almost 100 hours before they even walk out of the 2-year college, which basically end up with a bachelor's degree before they even start their engineering, and then they got 2 to 3 more years of engineering work to do. So it's gotten kind of crazy. So the state finally made some changes, and one of the things they did is I have an articulation with UCF to teach, intro to engineering. Sally takes half these classes, I take the other half. We teach, the engineering concepts where it's MATLAB and Excel involved. We also teach statics, dynamics, the junior level science courses, networking, statistics for engineer, all that transfers to UCF. Well, now what they're doing is your pathways are going to include those courses coming in if they want to do it. Now, not every college is teaching these courses. So depending on your college and what your pathways are, this is what's going to happen. And I'm on my committee to help build this. So Sally and I went to the meetings. We saw what Valencia is going to do. We know the state, we're waiting on state approval. Once that approves, our college is going to adopt it. And then we're going to start teaching it out like that. What that means for you as an ET student is courses like engineering graphics are going to fill up quick, because that's going to probably be one of the courses that might come in, because it's a transfer. If you're teaching EGN 1111, that will transfer. If you look on your catalog, it's considered a dual course. What's a dual course? I mean, it counts for us and it can count for a university course. That's what it means. So there's several programs that have dual courses in them. Our intro to engineering works for both. And Daytona takes all my courses like that and transfers into their bachelor program as well. So when they come through doing this, that's going to give them a little more advantage of going to Daytona State or Valencia to do it. And I like the way Valencia kind of has a perfect pathway for their students. They come in and they just start and they run right through to the bachelor degree, straight through. Daytona, same thing. They start in AS, work their way right into bachelor's program, never leave campus. And that's kind of the goal, is to do it. For those of us that don't have that, it's going to make it easier for our students to transfer anywhere. Even AAs will be able to go into Daytona State, although they do have to pick up some technical electives going through, but they'll be able to transfer pretty much anywhere they go with these new programs and not have to pay out of pocket. That was the goal.
Does that decrease our graduates?
No, it does not. And the beauty of this is, and I was scheming all over the place. I've been scheming to say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get my student almost graduated, because what I do is I left 6 hours of electives in my program intentionally in every one of my programs so they could go get the extra math and stuff to transfer to Daytona. So I'm focused on Daytona State, not UF or UCF. Our AAs didn't have any options. So if I had an AA student, which I've had, that wanted to go to Daytona, they had to come back and take all my technical courses in electronics or whatever they're doing while they're enrolled at Daytona State taking some of the other courses there. And that was a good pathway for them to do that. Our technical courses will not be in those courses, but if you're doing like I'm doing, the articulated courses with UCF will be in there. And I'm already teaching those classes, so it's gonna fill up every one of those classes. So I'm gonna now have full classes of statics, dynamics, because I think in ours, we have 200 to 300 AA transferred engineering in our school. It's one of the biggest ones, you know? And so I'm thinking it's gonna fill up some of those courses. So it might be something you wanna look at, that maybe I'll start teaching these courses in order for them to go to fill up your load and such like that. It's just a way to help you out. Or it might be a good way to say, we wanna teach these courses to help the AA, but I gotta get another instructor in. Oh, there's your next instructor. I'm scheming all the time. And the only thing that was a drawback that I got shut down on was I figured I got 6 hours left of electives. I want to bring my person through in my AS, and I'm going to stop and have them transfer into the AA and then finish up the other courses, and they'll graduate from both. And I got shut down by financial aid on that one. They said, you're not going to do that. We're not allowed to do that. And so there's some rules that you have to follow. So I'm just letting you know, there's a lot coming down the pipeline on that, but any day now, the state, if they haven't already, they're supposed to prove that Valencia put in, they were the experimental one doing this and got it together. And we're just waiting to hear, and then we're gonna implement it at our college, and multiple colleges are gonna do this.
How close is the 80 hours if they do that with your federal classes? How close is that to a dual degree with the AS and the AA?
Well, the problem is they're gonna have to come back, and once they run out of financial aid, they're gonna pay out of pocket again, so.
Yeah.
So I tried that, that's what I was saying, I said, oh, you know what, I'll send them through my 60 hours, then I'll transfer them over there so they can pick up all the math and stuff. That didn't work. They said, no, it's better, in my opinion, it's better to go ahead and get them to Daytona State and let them transient back with you, because if they're online at Daytona State, there's no reason for them to leave your college and take more classes at your college. So in the long run, I think it's better just to do that and let them make it up as they're going through. So if they've got Calc 1 done, but they haven't got 2, 3, and it's better if you take that math, if they start a series like Calc 1, 2, 3, it's better they finish it at your college than try to transfer Daytona and take Calc 2. Because even though they're very, very close, there's a module here and there that could be out, and they either miss something or they have to repeat something, and it's really a waste of their time. So I think you're better off if they just start a series of whatever, chemistry or whatever, you stay there and do it, finish off whatever they gotta do. So I looked at all kind of avenues, but I'm just letting you know that is coming down. Should be out sometime soon. I just don't know when yet. We haven't gotten any word, but I'm one of the lead people on that committee at my college. And it may mean you start taking more responsibility for those programs as well. Because I want to tell you, your advisors have no idea what engineering is. They have no clue.
Yes.
No clue.
Sam. See, the problem that we have for AS degree, they have the technical requirements, technical electives, but they don't have the general requirements. So they're missing from the 36. So for the bachelor degree, we have 128 hours. We have 36 general requirements, general education. We have the 44 lower level technical electives, and we have the 48, which is specific, more course specific program requirements. The AS will come with the lower level technical electives, but they don't have the genets. The AA, they have the genets, but they don't have the lower level technical electives. So we have these problems that we are facing when they come to Daytona State College, and we have to work with them on that. For the math requirements, we met with NASA, Northrop Grumman, and other manufacturing companies or industries, and most of them, they have the impression that engineering technology, they don't give the right math that we require, which is all the way to differential equations. And that's not true. Our program has all the way to differential equations. So we need students to take these courses. And how are we going to work with the 2 years, AA or AS, to make sure that they are taking these courses all the way. So we said to our students that actually whatever you take, we are going to accept as lower level technical electives. And that's why we work with the articulation that you have in your hands to make sure that all technical electives being counted as part of the 44 lower level technical electives. So whatever they take, we are going to count that. We're gonna work with colleges to see if there are other courses that you may use in AS degree, but can be used as lower level technical electives. For the physics, they need the physics with calculus, 1 and 2. So we try to see what are other courses that can be supported. So instead of taking the 1053, physics 1053, they can take the 2048 and the 2049. So we recommend for the AS and for the AA that those are the courses that would be required. So let them take these courses as electives, and we are going to use them as lower level technical electives.
And I think looking at this, that's why I did the 6 hours of electives. If I get a high school student who's passed AP Calc, and now he's going to start Calc 2, he can take my elective, do the Calc 2. The very next semester, once he has Calc 2 out of the way, he takes physics with Calc 1 as his other elective. He's already got that done before he's even walked into Daytona State. And then, once he's in Daytona State, he can come back and finish up whatever he needs to finish up. And he's ahead of the game. He can go ahead and take some of the higher level courses that require those things to get him through a little faster. It's just a really good way of looking at how you can get them there as quickly as possible. I had dual enrollment in mind. I've had 3 or 4, maybe 5 now, dual enrollments, that the day they graduated high school, they had already completed their AS degree and had most of their calculus and stuff out of the way. Several of them went over to Daytona State, a couple went down to UCF, but most of them went over to Daytona State and never looked back. And the beauty of that is they were working. They got jobs immediately as soon as they graduated high school and said, hey, come on in. You're ready to go as an assistant engineer. And then when they finish Daytona State, they become the engineer. And if they go take Calc 1, 2, 3, the physics with calc, the differential equations in that order going through there, they'll come back, take statics, dynamics. Now they're eligible to go to a master's program or get their fundamentals so they can get ready for their professional engineering license.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna take the technical math over there, that's not gonna get them ready for that, and they probably won't accept it. So they have to make that decision. I hate to say they have to make it before they go into Daytona State, but I tell them, how do you wanna do this? I'm talking to them day one. How do you wanna do? Do you wanna go on and get a master's degree? I tell them, think 1 degree ahead, always think 1 degree ahead. It's the best way to look at it. But not all of them do that. And so I say, now, if you don't wanna take these here, Daytona State has the technical math and you can do it there because they're not interested in PEs or master's degrees, then that may be the way to go. So there's a couple of different ways you can look at this when you go through. And you're gonna have to figure it out at your college, on how they do that sort of thing. That's what I did with mine, and I'm fighting my advisors every day on trying to pull them out of my program and put them in AA. You can't transfer to university if you don't have an AA degree, and I've had meetings upon meetings, my boss has gotten involved and gotten irate, and I mean, they stole students from me, basically. I had to go back and steal them back, and that's what I've been doing. I've been stealing my students back, and that's kind of how we did it. Anything else? Anybody else got anything?
Hey, let's give Sam, our MC, a round of applause. Great job, Sam. Definitely want to thank Sharon and her team for hosting us. Awesome job. There is some leftover, if you don't want pizza, there's a bunch of pizza. If you don't want pizza, there's still some leftover barbecue from yesterday. It's in the fridge, just grab it. I think there's a microwave back there, is there?
There's also some, to-go containers.
Okay, yeah, so you wanna take some stuff to go, there's plenty of food, please. If you're not staying to eat, definitely take some with you for the road, but it is so nice to see you guys, and, our next one's gonna be at Daytona State College, April 16th and 17th, put that on your calendars now. Of course, we'll start sending information out, but it was great to see you guys, have a, we'll be in touch, I'm sure between now and then, but it was good to see you guys, and we'll hopefully see y'all soon.